Filmmakers, studios, and technicians have often come up with ways to get more people to see movies in theaters, especially when a new piece of experiencing media is created. There have been inventions like IMAX and 3D, and movies filmed in widescreen were even created as a way to compete with television. And one approach taken has been to add smells to the film-going experience, something that has never managed to take off. This has had various names like Odorama and aroma-rama, but the most common name has been smell-o-vision. This idea of giving viewers the ability to smell the images on the screen actually began in the silent era, primarily from theater owners, but it's not something that widely caught on. Ever the innovator, Walt Disney actually considered adding smells to Fantasia to match the animation. However, the idea was abandoned, likely because the film was an expensive one and Disney was already asking certain theaters to add a new surround sound system, so having them also install a machine that let out smells would have been a bit much. The theaters that released scents usually just let them out of one vent into the entire theater. However, Hans Laub, widely credited as the creator of smell-o-vision, thought there should be a vent in each individual seat. This would have prevented the smells from having difficulty reaching certain members of the audience. Most studios and filmmakers lacked much interest in smell-o-vision, but there were a few interested parties. Producer Michael Todd considered using it for Around the World in 80 Days, but decided against it. His son eventually decided to give smell-o-vision a try and incorporate it into the movie Scent of Mystery. Directed by Jack Cardiff, this film has quite a notable cast. The lead is played by Denholm Elliott, who is now mostly known for Marcus Brody in the Indiana Jones movies, and the film also has appearances from Peter Lorre and an uncredited Elizabeth Taylor. The movie wound up a box office flop, and the process used for the smells was widely panned. Cardiff had particularly negative memories about Scent of Mystery later on, remarking that the smells just seemed to consist mostly of cheap cologne. The film is also accompanied by an animated short titled A Tale of Old Whiff. Made with the involvement of John Hubley, the short included smells like sausage, soap, rain, and flowers. Although a print does exist in the Academy Film Archives, the short has never been publicly released since it played in front of Scent of Mystery. Around the same time, there was also a travelogue film titled Behind the Great Wall, using a competing system, aroma-rama. This was similarly not well received. After this, smell-o-vision and other attempts to bring scents to movies disappeared after a while, as it just was not worth the cost to upgrade theaters for this gimmick the audience was so far less than thrilled with. In 1981, John Waters released Polyester and used the movie as an opportunity to bring it back. He created a system named Odorama and produced cards that the viewers would have to sniff whenever a specific number flashed on screen. The movie even begins with a comical introduction to Odorama that instructs how to use the cards. Waters has said one of his proudest moments as a filmmaker was going to screenings around the world and seeing audiences excitedly scratch off one of the numbers to smell farts. When the Criterion Collection released Polyester on Blu-ray, they actually recreated the Odorama cards to include in the case, allowing anyone who buys the disc to participate in the experience. Many years later, Rugrats Go Wild decided to use Odorama for the latest movie starring those talking babies. Scratch and sniff cards were given at Burger King that viewers could then take into the movie, employing the same technique as polyester with the numbers on the screen. The Rugrats cards were criticized for smelling more like cardboard, though. I actually saw Rugrats Go Wild for the first time on television, and funnily enough, they used a version of the movie that still had the flashing numbers. One person who was not exactly pleased with Odorama being repurposed for Rugrats was John Waters. However, he found out that New Line Cinema, the producer of Polyester, had forgotten to renew the patent, and thus other studios were able to freely use it. When told it was meant to be an homage to him, Waters quipped that a check would have been an homage. Robert Rodriguez decided to do something similar with the fourth Spy Kids movie, All the Time in the World, although this version was named aroma-scope. Recently, theaters have installed a system named 4DX that incorporates all kinds of senses, including smells. I've not experienced this yet, mostly because the idea of having wind and water sprayed on me is not something I find appealing, but let me know if it's something you've tried out yourself. I've mostly talked about movies employing smell-o-vision, but television shows have tried using it too. In April 1999, Cartoon Network did a special promotion they named Smelly Telly. Viewers could pick up scratch and sniff cards in various places and use them on certain episodes of Cow and Chicken. BBC did the same thing with a couple of their children's shows, first in the 80s and then again in the 90s. Unsurprisingly, the places where smell-o-vision has proven especially popular are theme parks. They use Hans Laub's idea of having each seat fitted with vents, and it certainly makes more economic sense for theme park attractions to do it than movie theaters. Most movies are not created with smell-o-vision in mind, and what few there are will likely only be played in theaters for a few months, depending on the box office grosses. With theme parks, attractions are created to last for years until the lines die down. They're also a lot shorter, and thus play a lot more shows. Disney is probably the most well-known for incorporating smells on their 3D attractions. I remember seeing It's Tough to Be a Bug at Animal Kingdom, which at one point has a stink bug do his thing, and you can probably guess what happens. The popular ride Soaring in its various incarnations also utilized scents, which is understandable, seeing as the whole idea was to replicate the feeling of flying through various places. Disney Imagineering has often prided itself in immersing their guests in the attractions and rides, and including smells is one part of this. Now, do I think smell-o-vision will one day become a frequent option for movies one day, like IMAX and D-Box? Will James Cameron decide to use it in one of the upcoming Avatar sequels to make us feel like we're even more in Pandora? To be honest, I'm not entirely sure. Unlike 3D, which is seen as something with some artistic value when done right, smell-o-vision has gimmick written all over it. There's also the trickiness of not everyone appreciating the specific smells used. For example, the smells used in Spy Kids 4 reportedly included cheese, bacon, dog farts, and baby feces. Sorry, Robert Rodriguez, but the prospect of smelling those last two is not appealing to me, especially when trying to watch a movie. Or to go back to Scent and Mystery, one of the smells unleashed on audiences during the movie was tobacco from the villain's pipe. Even taking into account that back in the early 60s it was still common for people to smoke in movie theaters, that is absolutely not something I would like to smell at any time of day. Other smells that tend to irritate me personally include perfume and coffee, both of which would likely be options in a movie using smell-o-vision. So I'm actually fine with this not being something that's caught on, and I don't think it's something that really enhances the film watching experience. Now, what I want to know is your own experience with smell-o-vision, Odorama, and these other smell-related techniques. Do you have any personal memories of seeing Polyester, Rugrats Go Wild, and other such films in theaters, or those smelly episodes of Cow and Chicken, and do you think that aspect enhanced or distracted? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next time.